Welcome back to another episode of yours truly. It is I, your host, Druelee, of course. How are you doing today? I hope all is well and nothing negative is affecting your energy. The last episode had a lot of emotional damage and a roller coaster of good and bad emotions. And just because the Lost family did me wrong, I came out as a strong ass woman in the motherfucking end. The episode was a bit longer than usual, and I'm gonna try my best to condense the details so that the episode is not too long for y'all, okay? And again, thanks always for tuning in. So, are you guys ready for the next topic? The title says it all. After finalizing my divorce, for some reason, I had a spiritual awakening. Now, some of y'all may ask, what the fuck is that? According to an article that I searched on Google, the website mindbodygreen.com has an article called 21 Signs You Are Going Through a Spiritual Awakening and How to Embrace It. It talks in depth of what it is and the 21 signs you are going through a spiritual awakening. I'll link the website on my Facebook page, so check that out. And it does contain some very useful information on spiritual awakening. So the notion of spiritual awakening has been around for a century, and it can be observed in a variety of cultures and religions around the world. You can call it nirvana, call it enlightenment, call it bliss. A spiritual awakening begins the moment a person can step back and awake to the life with the new sense of being in this world. So again, you can always Google search this, but it's just a little bit of information about spiritual awakening. And again, I'll link the website article on my Facebook page. So typically when you go through something very traumatic in your life, you somehow woke the fuck up from what you thought was something good in your life. In my previous relationship, I was wearing rose-colored glasses thinking everything was okay and that the bad was only a temporary thing. I somehow woke the fuck up from that shit after leaving my marriage. And when I began my self-healing journey, that's when I also began my spiritual journey as well. I began to question my culture, my belief in God, and was there other ways to dive deep into my spirituality. So let's go ahead and start off with my culture. As I mentioned in my previous episode, I mentioned that I am Hmong. I consider myself a Hmong American, and a little history or a little bit about what I know so far about Hmong culture. I don't know a whole lot about it. I grew up as a Christian, meaning that I didn't follow the old traditional Hmong culture, which is the shamanism way. So again, I grew up in a Christian family, and so I basically knew, or I grew up knowing about God, going to church, and not too much about the Hmong culture. My parents weren't too involved in the Hmong culture as well too, and so we basically just grew up learning about God. We do know a little bit about our culture, and we do implement some things within the culture, but to actually know like the process of certain things, to actually know why people do certain things, yeah, I have no knowledge of that. So I do not have a lot of information or knowledge about the Hmong culture, but I just know the surface level of it. But what I do know about the Hmong culture and what was taught to me when I was a young girl is that my parents would tell me that, as a daughter, you have to do certain things in order to save face. So example with that will be, let's say if you were to get married to your husband and he somehow abused you, like it could be physically abusing you, verbally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually abusing you, and you bring that to either your parents or his side of the family's attention. The common saying that they always tell us Hmong women is to 我先得, meaning to be patient. And for me, the way that I see with that saying is that it's basically telling us Hmong women that, if he beat you up, or if he cuss at you, or if he do anything negative to you, and you see that, you notice that that's not right, and you voice your opinion about that in order to fix your relationship, but your family and his family don't give a shit or don't do nothing about it. They're basically saying that, you know, your concerns don't matter, your voice don't matter, your boundaries do not matter. I realized that at the end of my divorce and my marriage is that, you know, although I don't know too much about my culture, or nor is my family know anything much about the culture, but yet after what I've been through, I've noticed that some people don't give a fuck about you and your problems. They say that, oh, you know, we'll be there to help you, we'll be there to teach our sons. But for me, I just feel like when us women voice our opinions about our husbands, and we know we're not stupid, okay? Us women know the good and the bad. And when we voice our opinions about that, people close to us, they just brush us off. Like, they just brush us under the rug as if we don't fucking matter. As a Hmong woman myself, that was what I realized when it comes to, you know, me being a woman. Another thing would be, you know, my parents, and I'm pretty sure a lot of Hmong parents teach us women, or teach their daughters to not get divorced. Because if you do get divorced, technically you have a bad name and you are disrespecting your own family. And I was always so afraid of that. Like, I didn't want to disrespect my parents. You know, I didn't want to, I guess, quote unquote, bring shame to the family. And once you get divorced, a lot of people will say that, oh, you can't live with your parents anymore, or it just doesn't feel right anymore because you're an outsider. I'm like, what the fuck is that? It's like, at the end of the day, I'm still your fucking daughter. It's not like I changed my last name or I changed myself completely. So basically, you would rather just not claim your daughter or not welcome her home right after divorce. Is that what you're trying to say? And also, they would teach us daughters to not get pregnant, because same thing as getting divorced. If you get pregnant before a marriage, you bring shame to the family. So there's just a lot of shame, a lot of negativity when it comes to us Hmong daughters or us Hmong women. And that's something that I don't like about our culture, is that you bring so much shame and you look down upon us women. And, you know, I get that. That's just part of our culture. And it's been, we've been living in this life since like a long time now. And I get it, but what people need to realize is that a lot of us are here now in America, in the United States, and we have the freedom to do whatever the fuck we want. I mean, don't get too crazy. That doesn't mean you get to kill, steal, lie, and do all that like stupid shit. You know, I mean, like, you have the free will to believe in whatever you believe, follow whatever you want to follow, as long as you don't harm nobody or yourself. As much as, you know, I still consider myself a Hmong American person, I don't understand some of these things, and also I don't agree with certain things that they teach us women, and it's just not fair, and I feel like it's not equal to us as well. A lot of times I do see the Hmong parents or Hmong people and families in general, they enable their sons to just do whatever the fuck they want to do. That means Hmong men can cheat, they can lie, they can verbally, physically, spiritually, all that shit, be abusive, and it's okay for them to do that. It's okay for them to cheat. It's okay for them to date outside of their marriage. And it's like, no, it's not fucking okay. I'm not okay with that. Again, I will do another separate episode on that, because I've seen it with my own eyes. When it came to Lost Boy and his family, I've seen a lot of women in his family enable him to do things even when they know that it's wrong. And a lot of them are just afraid to tell him that what he's doing is wrong. And it's always going back to the woman. Like, the woman is wrong. The woman needs to cook. The woman needs to clean more. The woman needs to cater to her husband more. If she did that, then he would change and he will do this and that. No. I will be the first one to say that, you know, if you are a Hmong woman and you are listening to this, and the people around you are telling you that it's your fault, that you need to do this and you need to do that, motherfucker, hell the fuck no, because you are in this marriage with that person. And you both, as a man and woman, are supposed to help each other out, not the woman doing everything. The fuck? Like I say, I can do another separate episode on that, but just a little snippet of it is that in the Hmong culture, it could be any other culture. It doesn't have to be my culture, but from what I see and heard from my culture is that, you know, a lot of things I just don't agree with, because it doesn't give women and men to treat each other equally. It's always about catering to the men and only the men and not the women. And so after I had my spiritual awakening, I did question my culture. And overall, what my outlook on that culture as of now is that, you know, it's just a way to control us women, and that we should be more submissive to the men and enable them and pretty much allow them to do whatever the fuck they want to do and not get any consequences. There's no respect for women and their boundaries when it comes to them vocalizing their concerns and issues with their husband. Overall, just to end it on that, again, I still consider myself a Hmong person. I am a Hmong American person. You know, overall with this Hmong culture, the only thing that's beautiful about our culture is just our food, our clothes, our language, and our music. That's it. When it comes to, I don't know, our own laws and regulations and whatever that we follow through, certain things I just don't understand, and some of the things I don't agree on, because it doesn't create equality when it comes to men and women. So for those who disagree on that, let me know. And for those who are hating, oh well, who gives a fuck? This is my opinion, my podcast, my episode. You don't like it, you don't have to listen, but you're tuning in, right? So enough about that. Let's move on to another thing that I have to question, which was my my religion. Like I mentioned, I grew up in a church, and I did consider myself a Christian. I went to church every weekend with my family, and that was the only thing that I knew of. Again, my family didn't practice shamanism. We didn't do any of those spiritual, ancestral things. Yeah, we just didn't do that. So we just, like I said, I grew up in a church, knowing about God, serving God, and, you know, helping around in the church. Like I said, after divorcing and, you know, not going to church for almost like 3 years, it made me think about a lot of my involvement in the church. And the reason why it made me think so much about it is that, although I was very involved in the church, you know, I led church service, I led the youth groups, I was very involved in the church events and whatnot. I just felt like it was just a chore that I had to do, or like a job that I wasn't getting paid for. I felt like, you know, I want more than just being present there and doing, I guess, God's work. Because, you know, people say that, you know, if you do God's work, then you get more blessing from God. That's true. However, I just felt like it just wasn't fulfilling for me. You know, maybe I'm the only one that's thinking this way, but, you know, if you do feel the same way as how I feel, let me know. Just because, you know, maybe I'm just those type of people where I want to be able to take something in that has like a deeper meaning. Like, I'm not about a surface level type of person. You know, it's like, how can I use God's scripture to pertain that to my everyday life? Because once you leave the church, you still have a lot of things that you need to face in your personal life. And there's just so many things that people go through. And it's kind of like, how can I talk to God about this? How can I help myself to become a better person when I'm not at church? And the church that I go to, I say no shades to any churches at all, but the church that I go to, it just wasn't for me. I mean, I just went because my dad went to that church, and we've been going to that church all my life. And so it's kind of like, you know, I go because I wanted to deepen my relationship with God. Throughout my years of going, I just felt like it just wasn't fulfilling. I felt like I have to put on a face, act like I'm better than everyone, act like, oh yeah, my relationship with God is way stronger than the rest of you guys. I don't know, I just have that feeling that I had to fake it, you know. And then another thing that I have to question about that is that there's a lot of people around me that, you know, they're so holy when it comes to going to church, but after church they're a different person at home. A couple of people that I can mention right now would definitely be Lost family. They act like they're so holy, especially Lost mom. She was actually the head of the woman ministry in my church, and it's like, you are the head of the the women's ministry. Yet when you're at home, you basically became a different person. You are pretty much working for the devil. It's like you work for God at church, but you work for the devil at home. And I just feel like, if you claim you go to church, don't you want to present yourself as the same person when you're at church and also at home? Like, I have to question that. It's like you do so many fucked up shit at home, but when it comes to church, you put up a front as if like you're so holy, but really you're not. And people don't see that. Same thing with my dad. Again, I love my dad, but growing up, my dad wasn't always there, especially when it came to my family. He was pretty much wasn't there all the way. He was more, he supported a lot of his time with the church. Again, he was part of the board members. He was so helpful. Most of his money he'll give his 1/10 to the church. Even when his own family was struggling financially, lights would be cut off, water would be cut off, no food in the fridge, he would do a whole lot for the church versus doing a whole lot for his family. My mom always complained about it, and she always wonder, why don't you help your own family? Why do you help so much for the church? It's not like they're gonna help you, And I just felt like he just put up a front, or just trying to prove to other people that he's super holy. But really, you guys, my dad is not. And this is another episode that I can get in depth with as well, but just a little bit, a snippet. But yeah, people like lost family, and my dad or people that claim that they're Christians and they go to church and they're so fucking holy, but when it comes to at home, they're a totally different person. And it just made me question. It's like, like you go to church and you want to be a good person by going to church, and then you want to use what in church and apply that to your personal life outside of church. But some people, they don't fucking do that. They just switch their identity, and they pretty much are fucking fake. And so for me, like, I'm not saying that I'm like the best Christian, I'm holy. No, I am imperfect. I have a lot of things that I need to work on. But I have these questions because it's like, you as a person, as an empath, you want what's best for other people, and you want what's best for you. You know what's right or wrong. You're not stupid. You have common sense. And for people that you surround yourself with, you would think that they are like that, but they're not. Especially those Christian people. Christian people are the people that you need to watch out for, because not a lot of them whatever they show you are not who they truly are. And if you happen to meet someone who truly are at church and outside of church, then good, kudos to you. But for what I experienced and what I've seen so far in my life, majority of the Christians that I know, they are two-faced. They're fake as fuck. And a lot of you Christians will hate me for this, but I don't give a fuck. If nobody's telling you guys this, I'm gonna be the one to tell you guys that. Just because you go to church, it don't mean that you're fucking holy. I'm pretty sure you got some fucked up shit at home that you don't want people to know. You can be like the lowest of the lowest, and you act like you are like top notch at church. But please shut the fuck up and sit your ass down. That's all I gotta say about that. But again, with my spiritual awakening, I did have to question my religion and what I believe in. And at the end of it, after the divorce and everything, I still believe in God. I consider myself as a believer in God. I don't consider myself a Christian. I don't go to church. It's been like 4 or 5 years now. Do I plan to go back? No. Just because, again, my experience going to a Hmong church, to be more specific, it just wasn't helpful for me. Maybe if I went to a non-Hmong church, maybe. But I just feel like, going to church is not going to help me involved in my relationship with God. It's not going to enhance it. And that's something that I need to figure out myself. Because I just feel like going to church, it just makes me become a person whom I'm not. It's like I have to prove to myself that I'm better, or that I believe in, I'm like the most person that believe in God. I'm so fucking holy. No, like, be realistically, like, no. Because I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I'm the best and that my relationship with God is so great. No. I still need to improve on that. in that area. And also, I don't consider myself as an atheist. People say, oh, you're an atheist, you don't believe in God, and this and that. Atheist people are people that fucking hate God, and that they're those people that would say, oh God, why have you forsaken me? All the shit that I've been through is because of you, God. No, you guys, I'm not like that. I've never once in my life ever blamed God. I believe God is a God that gives me the choice, gives me the freedom to choose whatever I get to choose in my life. God will present to me all the goods and the bad, and if I choose to not listen and I choose not to do the good, then later on I'll pay for my consequences. I have to live through it, but also I will have to learn from it, learn from my mistake, and move on with it. But at the end of the day, I never blamed God, and God has always been the person that I always go to when I'm on the lowest, and every day I'm trying my best to improve my relationship with him. For people out there who thinks that I'm an atheist, no, I'm not an atheist. I like I said, I am considered a believer in God, and I am very spiritual. And just because I don't consider myself a Christian, it doesn't mean that I don't believe in God. I still have a relationship with God. And at the end of the day, don't judge me. You should judge yourself first before you judge other people, because I'm pretty sure your relationship with God isn't all that too. So let's just end it at that, okay? Moving on with the spiritual awakening. Again, I mentioned me and my culture and my religion, where I stand now. I've also came across a lot of spiritual things that actually help me to understand people, and also for me to do my own spiritual journey as well. I began to get involved, or actually I began to get myself into astrology, horoscope, tarot card readings, and crystals. I got introduced to all the things from my sisters. My sisters, they are very knowledgeable when it comes to astrologies and horoscopes and tarot card readings. One of my sisters, she sells crystals, and it's just a way to heal me and to bring me good energy, good vibes, nothing negative. It's very interesting because learning about astrologies and learning about horoscopes, you learn about yourself. I learned a lot about myself and what I am as a person. I also learned about other people as well too, based on their horoscopes. And so it's very interesting. I mean, I'm not an expert in any of these things, but I just know a little bit to go by. But it's very interesting to just learn about the humans and who they are as a person based on their signs. I know that a lot of Christian people are against these things because they think that it's witchcraft. And you guys, it's not witchcraft, okay? Like me learning about astrology, horoscopes, and tarot card readings and crystals, these are just things that actually helps me, and it gives me positive vibes. And for those who think that, you claim that you believe in God, but yet you do witchcraft stuff, shut the fuck up, because I don't do these things and become a witch. No, I don't use any of these things to do no spells on nobody. I don't use these things to curse nobody, because I know that once you curse people, it's going to come back to you. Okay. I'm not those type of people. And for all those Christians who thinks that, me believing in God and getting myself into all these, witchcraft stuff, shut the fuck up. Do not fucking judge me. You need to judge yourself too. I'm pretty sure your life is fucked up in some other ways, yet you're trying to hide it. At least I'm being transparent. Okay. So for those who believe in God and who also love to learn about other things such as astrologies, horoscope, tarot cards reading, and crystals, good for you. If it helps you to heal and to find yourself spiritually, good. Take whatever resonate with you and go from there. When I began my spiritual journey, these things actually did help me. It actually healed me, a part of me. It actually made me become aware of certain things in my life, and it also helped me learn about myself as a person too. I used to watch a lot of tarot card readings online on YouTube, but nowadays I don't hardly do that anymore. And so again, it's just there to help me, just in case if I want to know about my future within the next month or the next week, or based on my horoscope sign. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I'm a Sagittarius sun. Moon and rising are both Scorpio. So for those who wants to know, those are my signs. Like I mentioned, I don't hardly watch tarot cards anymore. I do have a couple of tarot cards at home, but again, I don't touch them and mess with them. But they're there if I want to, do some readings on myself. But overall, they're just there if I do need it. I do watch a couple of the astrologies and also horoscope as well. And I do have tons of crystals at my house as well too. But other than that, they're just there just to help enhance my spiritual journey. But I'm not worshiping these things. They're just there just to add to my spiritual journey. Another thing that has happened to me after I had my spiritual awakening is that, in the past, I have dreams that actually was very vivid, and I was able to remember some of them. And it's to the point where it pertains to what was going to happen to me in the future, or what I thought of certain people when I had those dreams. This can be another episode that I can also go in depth with, and I can also share a couple of dreams that I've dreamed of that actually came true, or that dreams that actually interpret what I felt towards a certain person. So definitely come back and check the episode out, and I'll do a separate episode on dreams. I do see that when it comes to dreams, I'm very spiritual on that, and sometimes I hate dreaming. It's just because, especially when it's dreams that I can remember vividly, and it gets me very emotional. Like, I will dream about it and then I will cry afterwards. I just hate it. And also the reason why I have my 2 cats is because I do see my cats as spiritual animals, where they protect me from evil spirits. And every time when I have a bad dreams, they don't sleep with me. So I do sleep with my cats, and they love sleep with me too. But every time when I sleep by myself and they're not in the bed with me, I somehow have a bad dream for some reason. And every time when I wake up and I look at my surroundings in my bed and I don't see them, I was like, the fuck? Where the fuck do you guys go? Like, where the fuck do you guys go? You guys are supposed to protect me from bad dreams. I know that they're not at fault, but still, it's like, having them with me, sleeping in my bed, it kind of gives me extra protection when it comes to, having bad dreams. But like I said, I'll do another episode of that, and I'll go more in depth in those certain dreams, and so that you guys have an insight of what I actually mean. But, like I said, just to summarize with dreams, as I began my spiritual awakening and my spiritual journey, like, I've been dreaming a lot of vivid dreams, and it has a lot of deep meanings to it. And it's dreams that I hate about, but it just somehow happens whenever I sleep, and it just occurs to me whenever I go to sleep. It's just something that I don't like, but I think it's because it's just part of me and who I am, and that I was just able to just have those dreams and be able to kind of interpret them and what it actually means. Another thing that has happened to me during my spiritual awakening and going through the spiritual journey is that I became very intuitive when it comes to meeting people. I can sense their vibe and what their intention is towards me. It's kind of like, I don't want to study them, but it's like, when you learn a lot of like astrologies about people, and you learn about how people move, it just, I don't know, you somehow, for me, I somehow am very intuitive, and I just kind of know what kind of people that they are. And then when that happens, it's up to me if I want to continue to meet with them or to get myself involved with these people. So again, I just became very intuitive, and I just know what their intention is when it comes to, them involving themselves with me. So aside from that, I can't really say that, I did this all by myself. And there are times where, for those who think that, I don't need to go to therapy. I don't need to seek a therapist. I don't need to talk to anybody. I don't need to read or listen to podcasts to help me in my life. If you're one of those people who just think that, okay, I'm good now, I can do this by myself. In reality, you can't do everything by yourself. You don't know everything. And the only way for you to actually know what's going on within yourself is you yourself have to search that outside of what you know already. And so, me going through this healing journey of singleness, I've learned a lot from a lot of people in the social media world. And it has helped me to understand my thinking, to understand men's thinking, what kind of relationship I should get myself into, what I should avoid when it comes to relationship, marriage as well, finding my purpose in life. If I am into business, how can I go about to create a business for me, and how can I deepen my relationship with God. There are a couple of peoples and a couple of YouTube channels that I highly recommend for you guys to check out. You guys don't have to, but for me, those are the people that actually help me to, understand a lot of those things. Like I mentioned, understanding men, understanding a woman, understanding relationship, understanding my purpose in life, and also deepening my relationship with God. The first person that I would highly recommend for you guys to check out is Tony Gaskin. He has a YouTube channel. He's a life coach. He has written tons of books about relationships. He's a public speaker. He does a lot of YouTube videos about love, relationship, singleness, and purpose. And he also incorporates God's scriptures in some of his video, not all of them, but he is a Christian. And if you are a Christian yourself and you believe in God, he's also a good person to actually watch his videos. That way you can incorporate God's words into your personal life. So definitely check him out. What I like about him is that he uses his real life experiences to teach and to push out his YouTube videos to the public. And that's what I like about him. Is I rather watch people that actually uses their own personal experience and life experiences to teach and to tell people what they have learned about in their life. If you're just one of those people like me, where you like to use your own life experiences to bring awareness to other people, he's one of those people that you should definitely check out. Another person that I will highly recommend for you guys to look into is R.C. Blakes Jr. He also has a YouTube channel as well. He is a pastor, and his YouTube channels is basically dedicated to promoting healing, self-actualization, and expansion. He discussed a lot about relationships and self-love disciplines, and he also shares a lot about narcissists, love relationships, singleness, and empowering women. I would have to say that although I have a dad, R.C. Blakes is the dad that I've always wanted in my life, just because he has put out certain things about father and daughter discussion, how a father should talk to his daughter, and he does a lot of empowering things to empower women. And it seems like he understands us women. He does talk about his past life and what he did, and he shares that, and he's very transparent when it comes to, talking about his life. I just feel like he's just a dad that I never had, and that I've always wanted. And all of his videos that I watch has actually helped me to understand myself as a woman, and what I should and should not look for when it comes to meeting a man, and what I should and shouldn't do in a relationship. He does incorporate God's word, scriptures. And so again, if you're a Christian and you have a relationship with God and you want to incorporate God's words into your life, he is another person for you to check out as well. Another inspiring person that I also follow and watch will have to be Jay Shetty. He's very well known out there, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys may have heard of him, but he's a storyteller, podcaster, and a former monk. His vision is to make wisdom go viral on an accessible, relevant, and practical way. He does post each week on the topics of motivation, wisdom, on love and relationship. And he also has an everyday meditation. If you are interested in meditating, he does talk about more of that in his podcast. So you can watch his podcast on YouTube. He also has it on, I think, all of the other podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Yeah, I just recently listened to him. I love his podcast. It talks a lot about your purpose in life. He does interview a lot of celebrities and people that can be inspiring when it comes to knowing your purpose. And he does give a lot of good advice when it comes to relationships and just a lot of life lesson things. So definitely check him out. So if you're a type of person that doesn't go to church like me, but you still want to deepen your relationship with God, or just to have church in your own living room, there are two YouTube channels that I highly recommend for you guys to check out. The first one will be Transformation Church by Pastor Mike. So basically, his channel is to represent God to the lost and found for transformation in Christ. And it's led by Pastor Michael and Natalie Todd. And they are based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I actually heard about Transformation Church through TikTok. And he is one of those people that actually goes in depth. He dives deep into certain topics that people, especially pastors, don't talk about. He's very transparent about his past life. And, if for those Christians who struggles with, saving yourself after marriage, if you're the type of person that deals with, who struggles with, watching porn or masturbation, or just, doing things that that you're not supposed to do as a Christian, his channel is the channel that you should definitely watch. And for me, it helped me in certain ways to understand my relationship, why things happened the way it did, and so again, if you have a relationship with God and you want to deepen it, and if there are any issues that you have to deal with in which your parents are not helping you with, or your pastor or church members aren't helping you with, because again, I don't know what church you go to, but specifically if you go to a Hmong church and they don't talk to you or tell you about these things, I highly recommend you watching Transformation Church, because Pastor Mike does go in depth on those certain topics. You just have to search through it. He talks about relationship. That is one of the things that I've always looked forward to when it comes to learning more about. Highly recommend that church. Another church that I highly recommend for you guys to check out, especially if you want to have church in your living room and at home, will have to be Define TV by Pastor Jeremy Flowers. He does a lot of his YouTube videos based on redefining relationships righteously, and he does have videos on TikTok as well too. Again, similar to Pastor Mike, they do go in depth with certain taboo topics, and they also go in depth with how you can correlate your relationship with God and deepen it as well by pertaining it to the Bible scriptures. So definitely check those two channels out if you are interested in that. Another channel that I also follow and listen to will be The Woman of Impact by Lisa Bayou. Her YouTube channel features women who have overcome incredible hardship to achieve massive success. And their mission is to empower you and all women to recognize that you can become the hero of your life. So what she does is she interviews women who's been through a whole lot, and because they've been through so much in their life, they were able to become a better and empowering person. So all the women who likes to listen to anything pertaining to woman empowerment, definitely check her out. I like, whenever I listen to videos, like, it's very inspiring, and it makes me feel like, even though I'm on my lowest, I can come out from that and become a better and empowering woman in the end. For all the ladies who need some encouragement when it comes to becoming the best version of yourself, definitely check her channel out. Another person that I will highly recommend for you, especially the woman, especially Christian women or women who have a relationship with God, I will definitely recommend you guys to check out Anointed Fire by Tiffany Buckner. Her channel is focused on winning souls for Christ and helping others to reach their full potential in Christ. Her passion is in seeing the heart of God manifesting in his people. Her videos are long, however, she goes in depth with it, and she's the type of person who, does use God's words. She herself is a single Christian woman. All of my Christian women who are single, she is a person that you should definitely check her out as well. She talks a lot about staying in your singleness, a lot of like deep taboo topics that you don't usually hear at church. And so if you're interested in improving your relationship with God as a single Christian woman, definitely check her out. Or if you just curious about certain things in life, she does have those things on her channel as well. So just check her out. I'm pretty sure you guys would love to see her videos. Last and not least, I really love this woman because she tells it how it is. And I'm talking about Spiritual Whistleblower by Chanel Jasmine Clark. She is a narcissist abuse activist. She is an author, speaker. She makes a lot of videos on TikTok, and she makes videos on YouTube as well. I really adore and I really love her just because she's been in I think, true relationships with a narcissist. Her own families are narcissists themselves. And what she do is she makes videos and she teach us what we should and should not do when it comes to getting involved with narcissists. And you guys, everything that she says are what I've experienced with my relationship with Lost Boy and his lost family. It's like, who knew that, I was dealing with narcissist people. And I also have to realize that narcissist is within me as well and within my own family. And again, this is another topic that I will elaborate more in a different episode. But when it comes to narcissist abuse, yeah, like she don't play. Like, she just say how it is. She's very blunt. And some of the things that she says, it can be hurtful to certain people. But for me, I just feel like, I'm so glad that I'm not the only one that has to deal with this. I mean, for her experience, it was way more harsher than me, but I can relate to it. And so for those who had to deal with narcissist people or people who has abused and used you for their own benefit, it could just be anything. Like, I will highly recommend for you guys to check her out. Her videos that she puts out is so helpful, and I can fucking relate to. These are just the people that I follow and I watch online, and it has helped me to understand myself as a person, to understand my purpose in life, to deepen my relationship with God, and also to understand relationship more. And so again, you guys don't have to follow them and you guys don't have to listen to them, but for me, it has helped me within my healing journey. So just go ahead and just take a listen, and hopefully they can also be a part of your healing journey as well. Other things that I've done for myself to help me during my spiritual awakening and my spiritual journey is I began to journal again. In the past I've had, but I kind of like took a break from it because of the relationship that I was in. But afterwards, I began to journal again. I got myself a new iPad. That way I can have multiple journals and have it in one app. And it'll just be easier for me to take it with me wherever I go. I've also meditated a whole lot, like in the morning and at night. I've also worked out. As of now, I have a lot in my plate already. I have school and then I have work as well. I definitely don't have the time to actually put on a full workout, but after school is completed, I will definitely go back and start working out again. I just began to just try to live a healthier life, trying not to eat out as much, try to cook at home, and just trying to intake a lot of healthier things rather than trying to, intake bad things that's not good for my body. I've also worked on refinding myself, re-loving myself, understanding who I am as a person, what I like, what I dislike, and making these lists of what I want for myself, goals that I want to achieve, just pretty much relearning who I am as a person. And then another thing that I did have to think about was I had to do a lot of self-reflection on what actually happened in my relationship, why things happened the way they did, taking accountability of my actions, and also understanding why people around me treated me like shit. Like, why did they do the things that they did to me? This is also another episode that I will get in depth with as well. Because again, I've been talking so much shit about Lost Family and Lost Boy overall. After all that has happened, I'm not bitter when it comes to them. It's like, again, I will touch base on that on another episode, maybe on the next episode, who knows. A couple things that I will tell you guys that I did have to self-reflect on what I did and did not do in the relationship, and then also trying to understand why Lost Boy and his Lost Family did those things to me, because it is a deeper issues within themselves. Maybe they know, maybe they don't know, but again, I will go in depth with that on a different episode. So I just had to think about these things, just being aware of myself and being aware of why people do the things that they did. And so that's pretty much what has happened to me during my spiritual awakening, just being aware of my surrounding, being aware of who I am. Again, going back to from the beginning, I did have questions about my culture, my religion, and is there any alternative when it comes to, growing in my spirituality. I hope that you guys now know a little bit about where I am at, and every day I'll be growing as a person. Any of these things trigger you a certain way, you know, I don't mean no harm. This is just my thinking and what I think of my culture and my religion and me being a spiritual person now. I'm just being honest, okay? But if you're hating on certain things, oh well, that's on you, not me, okay? Anyways, on that note, I usually do a Dear Sister letters, but I think because this episode is taking a little bit longer than usual, I'm not going to do that for this episode. But as a reminder, you can always send me a Dear Sister letters via Google Doc, and you can find them on my link on my Facebook page. I will try to read submissions on each of the episodes and respond to them at the very end of each episode. And then the last segment of the episode is poems. Again, similar to the sister's letter, you can also submit the poems via Google Doc as well. But this time, I actually was able to go to Barnes & Noble last week, and I found a couple of books, poem books, that I would love to read some of the poems to you guys. One of the poems that I will be reading out of this book called I Find You in the Darkness by Alpha. I'll just read one of the poems for you guys. This poem is titled Chances. Sometimes souls are too new to know how to make a relationship work. They haven't gone through a trial that broke them enough. They haven't experienced a storm that taught them how to rebuild. They walk away because they think that's what you do. We live in a society where people and relationships are disposable, like fast food. It's only those who have lost a loss that is so indescribable who are willing to take a chance and say, hey, we got this. I'm not going anywhere as long as there is a chance the sun is going to rise tomorrow. Those are the ones who have a fighting chance. All right, that is all that I have for this episode. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for your continued support, for tuning in, and for listening to me. I hope that all my episodes are bringing awareness to you guys, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I am enjoying recording them to you. Until then, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye!